Good morning, good evening, everyone. It's Wendy here from Author Your Way to Riches, and I'm with the lovely Julie Fisher, who's going to be talking to us this morning. So welcome, Julie. Great to have you here this morning and this
Thank
evening.
you, Wendy. Yeah, thank you, Wendy. It's a pleasure to be here with you today.
Awesome. So for those that are wondering where Tammy is, she's off gallivanting in Atlanta, Georgia, doing an expo there for our book and just networking with some other fantastic people there. So Tammy, if you're watching live or the recording, hey to you, hope it's all going well. And for anybody else that's watching, write in the comments below whether you are watching the replay or you are here live. And if you're here live, I'll see if I can catch the comments and let us know that you're there too. So Julie, really excited to be talking to you this morning. Like, I've known you now for what is it, like 3 years? Obviously working together with Nat now. But your journey, with my sister and I in particular, but everyone's been watching you evolve over the last few years, and it's been really exciting to see, like, your enthusiasm and your passion about what you do is just infectious. And often when I'm talking to new authors, and I mention your name, they actually go, "Oh, I've actually seen her." Like I remember seeing something about her, or if they're in Victoria and in the disability community, they've actually heard about you. So, whatever you're doing, it's working because people know about you.
Yeah, I have been told that with some of the providers in the sector as well. Like, as you know, I've got an expo coming up, which is the second one I've hosted, and apparently I'm the talk of the town, and everybody wants to meet me and work with me and do something with me, which is wonderful because that's the whole purpose.
Exactly right.
To get out there and help others. So
yeah, beautiful. Now, you actually attended one of Nat and Stu's live seminars when it was being conducted live. So I'm just wondering if you could take your mind back there and what actually prompted you to go along to that seminar? Just curious.
Yeah, so from high school age, I just developed this dream to one day write a book. And I really don't know why. I just, the book, I didn't read a lot, but the books I did read, I really got stuck into and I loved them. And I remember looking at the covers and even, talking to my now husband when we first met, saying, I think it would be really cool, to have a book with your name on the cover and, people reading it and enjoying it. And so that was what it was. It was like a bucket list item. And then I was scrolling through Facebook. It was 2018. And just out of the blue, this ad popped up about, have you always wanted to write a book? So, of course, I clicked on it and I thought, wow, this is strange because I'd never seen anything like that before. I had sort of looked into publishers over the years, but never got anywhere with them. And so I clicked on it and I stalked Natasha and I stalked Ultimate 48-Hour Author a little bit because back in 2018, there was still some of the ads on there were a bit dodgy. So I was a bit unsure of what to do. So I stalked her and I saw that she was legitimate and I decided to bite the bullet and sign up. And I upgraded to a VIP because I thought, well, why not? I'm doing this. I may as well go all the way and get the most out of this seminar, whatever she has to offer. So we'll just go and see. Yeah.
And you've often said to us, you nearly walked out of the room.
I did nearly walk out of the room.
Yeah.
Because the room that day seemed to be filled with a lot of business people.
Yes.
There was probably about 4 memoir writers and I was one of those. And I was very nervous and, very overwhelmed. I was loving what Nat was giving. I was loving her presentation. But the nerves, I think, got the better of me. And at the halftime break, I spoke to the lady that was sitting next to me and she asked me why I was there, why I wanted to write a book. And of course, I became emotional and I said, but I don't think this is for me. This is more for business. And she said, don't be silly. You're halfway through. You may as well stay till the end. So I did.
Awesome. Do you remember who that was? Have you come across her?
No.
Isn't that interesting?
She was a blonde lady. That's about all I remember.
So if you're watching Blonde Lady, there you go. So you were the pivot point for Julie.
Yes.
And that tells me, don't give up on your dream if you're actually there for a reason. Or I often say that at the end of our seminar is, you're in this room for a reason. You've got something, a deep desire there to write a book and get your message out there to the world.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. And at the end of the seminar, I almost left, and, Nat said, if you want to book a chat, and she said, we've got a few spots open now, or we'll do a phone call, because back then we didn't Zoom.
Yes.
And I sort of thought it was getting towards the end and I was going to leave. And then I thought, you know what, I'm here, I may as well talk to her. So I promptly got up and put my name down, because I thought, if I don't talk to her now,
yes,
it's not going to happen.
Yes. Yeah.
So I talked to her live after the event, which was really exciting. That's when the excitement started. But that photo, there's still a photo of the two of us from that day. And
you had long hair too.
I did. And I look at that photo and I think, God, look at all the nerves in that. I was so frightened and nervous, but best decision I ever made.
Excellent. And so when it came to actually getting down to the nuts and bolts of writing a book, and even before a little bit, if you had that desire, can you remember, what were some of the things, or, your no voice, what were the challenges that were coming up that you were thinking about when you go, oh, this is serious now, I've got to do it?
Yeah, the biggest challenge for me was the imposter syndrome that we always talk about, worrying that my stuff wasn't good enough and people would mock me, or not that I really, if people don't like it, they don't like it. But, when you're writing a book, you're really pouring your heart and soul into it.
Yeah.
And you do want some good feedback. So I was just really worried about, I guess, putting myself out there.
Yes.
And that imposter syndrome of thinking I wasn't good enough.
Yes.
And interestingly enough, when I'd written the book and had started to think about other things, a friend of mine said to me, you need to be careful, because I want to help families. You need to be careful because, Darcy's easy and you haven't done it hard with him. And I thought, wow, okay. And that comment actually spurred me on. So every time I get into that imposter syndrome mindset, which our minds do from time to time, I think of that comment and I get annoyed. So it really makes me thrust forward. Yeah.
It gives you that determination to kind of push through that. And that always says, with anything in life, every new beginning is hard. It's got to be hard because you've got lessons to learn. You've got a new pattern of behavior. You've got a new system. You've got a new process and a new way of thinking of being able to approach something. And I certainly found that, coming from a clinical background with nursing and then coming into this authoring world, it was like the chains were being lifted off me. I've been so in tune with academic writing that now I had the opportunity to express myself openly. Of course, there were some things that I need to think about, but, to have that was really good. Yeah. So tell us about the experience of your first book. What is it about? And, what was that first sort of like 6 to 12 months after that first book came out?
So the first book, I'll just move to the side. The unexpected.
We were joking around before the Facebook about the virtual screens. They're having a bit of fun with that. But you do that again, will you? Do that again. There's the first book.
Yeah. So the unexpected journey, embracing the beauty of disability. So that book is about our journey with our son Darcy, who lives with Down syndrome, from prenatal diagnosis to when he was 13. So he was 13 in 2019 when it was published. And I talk about receiving the prenatal diagnosis, how that came about. I talk about the emotions that we all went through, the judgment that we started to experience, having to advocate for him before he was even born.
Yes.
And then just talking about once he'd come into the family, just the challenges that we had. He became a little unwell when he was a baby with aspiration. So I talk about that and talk about the process to make him better and ensure that he could move forward without risking his life, because it was very dangerous what we went through. And then talk about all the wonderful things that he does, and the resources that I use, the support that I use, so that others get a little bit of an insight into what they can do as well. And, Darcy, as you know, is very, very social and very active. He loves his bowling and basketball and loves to go out with his friends. So, you know, I like to share all of that because it shows people, especially when they've got a baby with Down syndrome, when they see older kids, it shows them all the things that they're able to do. And, you know, sometimes some of these kids end up with more complications. But to me, you know, I know a lot of kids with disabilities and a lot of different disabilities, but they all, you know, no matter what, even if they need assistance with everything, they all enjoy going out and about with their friends and doing the stuff that they like. You know, even if they need lots of assistance, it's okay.
Yeah, the connection there. So one of our basic human needs is to feel connected and loved. Yeah. And what happened in the first, you know, 6 to 12 months after that book came out?
Yeah, so when I was writing the book and publishing it, as I went along, you know, hanging around the community with our retreat group and things like that, I was always just going to write it and then just have it and tick my bucket list item off and just keep going with life. But as I hung around that and as I was watching the other authors with their books, I sort of thought, oh, it might be nice to, you know, do some public speaking or something like that. So I started to sort of think about that. I put a little bit about that in the back of the book. And then the first real aha for me was going to a Carers Victoria mingle, and I took some of my books with me because Nat always says to take your books with you. And I met the CEO back then, and she loved the book. I gave her a copy for free, and she invited me and Darcy to do a campaign with them. And from there, the interest just got more and more, and then I started, you know, burning to want to do more as well. And then COVID hit. But what happened in COVID for me was a chance to attend lots of events online because, number one, I wasn't working. My workplace was closed. Number two, I didn't have to drive too far. I could just attend because everything went online, as you know. And I had my banner behind me and I had a book on the table, and I would attend all of these webinars with disability service providers and things like that. And at the end of all of the calls, they would stop and ask me, oh, what's that banner behind you? So I got to speak about my book. And then slowly but surely, I started getting asked to just speak about the book, you know, with Carers Vic, with Down Syndrome Vic. I connected with some other groups, Celebrate T21, Friend in Me, and just started doing things with them during COVID, which was loads and loads of fun and gave me lots of confidence as well. And during 2020, I started writing my second book, The Magic of Inclusion. And that one really pivoted me more into, you know, doing more speaking and things like that and working with families, and just gave me the confidence to do a couple of other things that I'd been wanting to do, like the expo. The expo was something that I'd wanted to do probably for about 10 years because I saw a need for it to be localized. And yeah, one of my friends and connections, Sandy Grace, I went to her and I said, what do you think about this? And she said, I love it. When are we doing it? So last year, the first one came about because she said that, and we made a date and I had to do it. So
isn't it funny in conversation that you jokingly say something and then it actually comes, oh my God, we can actually do this.
Yeah.
Having that confidence and having someone there spurring you on too is really helpful.
Yeah. So I slowly got the confidence, you know, and saw that people really enjoyed what I was writing and what I had to say, and learning. I could see the wider community enjoying learning about our world of disability and, you know, learning a bit about how we navigated that and, you know, what they can say, what they can't say, all of that sort of stuff, because sometimes people just don't realise what they're saying can be hurtful. So
yes, yeah, that's right. It's the comments that probably come out of somebody that is a natural part of the conversation, but it's the perception then that can have a very detrimental effect sometimes. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I'm just going to take a pause and acknowledge we've got Sharon watching from South Australia. So hi Sharon. And also, if you are watching live, please put live in the comments down below. Or if you're catching us on the replay, put the replay there. And we'd love to hear from our audience. So the 2 books out, and then I know you've neglected to mention something that I know happened with your books that I have a connection with, because sometimes healthcare providers provide information packs and sometimes they just don't hit the mark. Can you share with the audience what actually happened as a result of your going out there and networking. And it happened sort of like by and by. It was really quite authentic. And yeah, tell us.
Yeah, it was. So I saw a post on social media of so a friend put me in touch with another lady that had just had a little girl with Down syndrome.
Yes.
And you know, we were sort of just messaging backwards and forwards, and then she put a post up that said, "Oh, I'm so excited to announce that my little girl is an ambassador for Celebrate T21, and she's going to be featured in their next book." And I thought, oh, what is this? What is this Celebrate T21? So I clicked on it and I had a look at their page and I thought, this is amazing. So I sent them a message and I said, how do I apply for my son to be an ambassador? I'd really love to. I'm an author. I'm, you know, gave all the spiel, and she came back to me and said, oh my God, I would love to talk to you. I'd love to look at your book. So we actually did a book swap because she'd done 2 books prior to this one that she was organising. So we did a book swap. And Darcy became an ambassador, which was very, very exciting for Celebrate T21. Stephanie Rodden is an amazing lady who has a little boy with Down syndrome and saw a need for a more positive outlook on Down syndrome to be put out there for the families. And she's a photographer and an educator. So she developed the idea of putting together a beautiful photographic book with families from all over Australia. She did do one with the UK. So that the families can see us and see that, you know, we're in loving families. We love our child with Down syndrome and the possibilities. So the ages are from like babies right up to adults, and we all provide a quote. But what else happened from that moment was that once she read my book, she said that she would love to include it in the packs that she delivers.
So exciting.
Yeah,
so exciting.
So the packs are provided to families with a new diagnosis or new families with a diagnosis of Down syndrome, and they're free. They're provided free. So if you know somebody that's just received a diagnosis, you can hop on the Celebrate T21 website and order a free gift pack, and it will get sent out. And what's included is obviously the Celebrate T21 beautiful book, my book. Now it's actually From the Hearts of Mums that's in there, but all of my books have been in there, and some beautiful things for the baby. Support. She also puts you in touch with supports, online supports, and in your local community. So, and we're trying to also get these books into the hospitals, which I've started being able to do, so that the families have that positive outlook as well. Because when you get the clinical information, it's very daunting, and it feels very negative.
Yes.
And you feel like, what are we doing? What's going to happen? And then you get this beautiful book. You get in touch with people like me and Stephanie, and you can see that it's going to be okay.
Yes. Yeah, to give you that confidence and to hear from somebody that's travelled through that journey, rather than, like you say, from a medical or a professional viewpoint, because we really do talk turkey too much in our professions, rather than from, you know, from the grassroots and from where it's actually
and there is still that stigma in that profession.
Yes.
that it's like bad.
Yes, that it's a dysfunction. It's
and it's actually not. Like, you know, he's amazing, and the stuff that he teaches everyone is incredible. You know, I would not give him back for anything in the world.
And I know from knowing you, Julie, like Darcy has the best social life. Oh my gosh.
It's better than all of us put together.
Oh, that's awesome. So just, you know, you've talked about the 2 books now and how that came to be, and you briefly just mentioned the 3rd one. So tell us about how that evolved and what that book is about.
Yeah, so I when I look back, I find it quite funny, because just before I moved to layout with the first book, I thought, I might just include a little bit about inclusion and acceptance. And it's a very, very short chapter at the back of the book. And then, you know, once sort of the excitement never really dies down when you've written the book and you're getting it out there. But once it sort of died down a little bit, I started thinking about the next book, which was the magic of inclusion. And the tagline there, I remember when I was talking to Stuart for the first book, he said, what do you want people to know? And I said, I want them to see the beauty of disability And I want them to know that when they give people a chance, they can watch them shine. And that's where that tagline and my quote came from.
Yes.
And then at the end of the Magic of Inclusion, I actually included 5 of my friends. I asked them some questions about how they feel and what they would like to see for their children about inclusion and acceptance. And then once the hype died down from the second book, I sort of thought, wouldn't it be good to put together a book of stories from mums around Australia or around the world? Like, I'd made some connections abroad as well. So I just put it out there. I just asked a heap of my friends if they were interested in contributing to a book. And 12 of them came back to me and said yes. And
wow.
then it started then I started working on that and started getting Zoom calls, and, I sort of gave them questions. It's not a question and answer book, it's just their stories, but the questions were to get them talking and get them flowing. But I find it interesting now that I look back and I think, isn't that funny how I ended the book with what I started the next book with, but unintentionally.
No, that's come quite naturally with the way, I mean, and that's your style too. Like, you're a really good connector anyway in your own personality. But yeah, that's good. And it's a beautiful book. I mean, look at the graphic on the cover. It's just gorgeous.
It's beautiful. I love it. I'm so blessed to have had her do that for me.
Yes.
She also, the designer of the cover, also has a son with Down syndrome and is part of the Celebrate T21 community too.
Couldn't be better. Include your own network to be able to create something like that. Really nice.
Yeah.
So so I'll just say again, those that are watching the replay, if you can put that in the comments below, or watching live, and then I'll have a look at the comments in a minute and just acknowledge you on the call. But Julie, what happens now? Like, without giving your secrets away, obviously you've got a vision. I mean, what's your vision with all of this? We often talk about vision and purpose with our new authors, of what direction, if everything went right for you, what would you actually like to see with your books? What's for you?
Well, this year has seen me get on more stages, sharing our journey and the importance of inclusion and acceptance, which is something that I was trying to do, but struggling a little bit. So with lots of hard work and support, again, I needed the support to write my first book. So I came to Nat and learning to get my voice out there more. I actually am working with a speaker coach. So this year has seen me do lots of speaking events, which I'm really, really loving, and getting great feedback. And next year, because I want to work with families and sort of help families as well, so I'm going to develop some workshops. Like, one of the workshops will be accessing the community with confidence. Another one, which I did do one workshop last year, is visions and dreams, where they can come in and design a beautiful vision board for their children or for whoever they care for, or the participant can come in and create one. And the idea of that event is to brainstorm strategies and goals so that they can get to those dreams that they want to see. So, now that I am getting on the stages, which was a goal, now I can start sort of working on the other stuff as well. So I hope to be able to do at least maybe half a dozen or so workshops next year with families. And of course, the expo will keep going every year, because that's a really great way to get the information out there to the locals who can't, for whatever reason it may be, get into the big expos in the city, because it's important to meet the providers and talk to them and really hear about what they offer. And when you see them face to face, I don't know, who you click with. Yes. So if you get to come to an expo and you get to actually meet them and hear them speak, and then you know who your people are. Yes. Yeah, so, your tribe. Yes. And the vogue word is, find your tribe with what you're doing, whatever you're doing. And that's where the networks, and, you're a perfect example of how, authentic networks and connections have actually evolved into opportunities that has come from writing your book and being involved with the community with behind your book. Yeah, exactly. So, Julie, what would you recommend? Like, we've got people watching, either live or on the replay. What would you reckon? We've got, quite a lot of authors in this group. We get lots of questions from them. What would you recommend to them about, progressing their dream of writing a book? Do it. I mean, number one, do it. Don't let anything hold you back. Yes, you're going to be nervous. Yes, you're going to be frightened. You're going to have the imposter syndrome, but you've got to push past it. If you don't do it, you're going to have regrets. And you
Yes.
might not want to do more from writing your book. I never had that intention when I wrote the first book. But it's just interesting how things slowly evolve and you get more confident. And when you start helping people, when you start seeing people come up and say, thank you, I'm using some of those strategies that you mentioned in your book and they're working. Thank you for opening my eyes to the world of disability. Like I had a gentleman who was 75 years old when the first book came out, and he read the book and he came up and said, thank you. And I said, what for? And he goes, well, I've never had anybody around me with a disability, so I never understood it. And he said, and every week when I go shopping, there's a group of people with disabilities shopping. And he said, and this week when I saw them, after I read your book, I looked at them differently. And he goes, and I can't work it out. I said, I can. He goes, what? And I said, you saw them as people first. You saw the disability second. And he goes, God, I think you're right. He goes, thank you. And just quickly, another lady came up to me last year at an expo and thanked me for saving her daughter's life, because
Oh, wow.
they were
Gosh.
going to terminate. They had a prenatal diagnosis. They were going to terminate, and somebody ordered them a Celebrate T21 pack. And
Yes.
she read my book and cancelled the termination appointment that they had. And she said, this is my little girl, so thank you for saving her life. So when that sort of stuff happens, you know that your message is important, and it gives you the confidence to get it out there more, whichever way that might be. It might be just on the computer all the time. You might not want to get up and speak in front of people, and that's fine. But all of our messages help someone, and that's why we do it.
That's right. Yes. And a part of what we do at Ultimate 48 Hour Author is you can stay behind the scenes, because your book actually gets uploaded onto Ingram Spark, which has the global distribution about it.
That's right.
And working with Stuart and getting the wording right around the back of the book blurb and setting and phrasing that up correctly, with the view that you are actually going to get readers that are searching for something on the internet. It is going to work. So
that's right. And Stuart's amazing.
He's amazing. Yeah,
I call him our word guru. Like
yes.
I love the stuff that he helps with.
Yes.
And the chapter headings, unpacking your chapters, getting that blurb right. He's amazing. Like everybody has a beautiful part that they can contribute to and help you with your book. We all want to see it. Nat's amazing. Just with the confidence and all the strategies that she shares. Because she's done it. She started like we did too.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And
I
I
love
love
it
that.
the hard way. Oh my goodness. And if you haven't heard her story, she tells it at our seminar. So while Julie's been talking, I've actually put out the links to our next seminar is coming up next week, Monday evening, USA, Tuesday morning, 9:30 for Melbourne, Australia. And, you mentioned earlier, and I say it too all the time, just take one step. And if your first step is to come to that seminar, our seminar is for everybody, whether you work with us or whether you don't. If you're actually wanting to know the backstory of how to be an author and how to publish, I tell everybody that's the number one step, because at least in 2.5 hours, you're going to answer a lot of those questions that are playing around in your mind. And you get to meet us. And hey, yes, there is an opportunity to work with us after the seminar. And for this month, I have to mention it. Yes. 10 years, the Ultimate 48 Hour Author, Natasha started her business 13 years ago, but with the book writing and mentoring system and process, she started that 10 years ago. And this month, we've got terrific specials happening for publishing packages and also for the Ultimate program. So come along to the seminar and find out what that is about, because if you think from, listening to Julie, if you haven't got that bang on the head and go, come on, let's go. If you've got that dream and that passion to write your book and get your message out there to the world, come along to the seminar next week.
Definitely go to the seminar. Definitely. You'll be very inspired by Nat. And even if it's, you just listen to the seminar and even if you need to wait a couple of weeks before you make any big decisions, please come along. Don't hesitate. I'm so glad that I went that day. and I'm so glad I didn't leave.
And thank you to that lady that was sitting next to you. My goodness.
Yes.
And if
I probably wouldn't have left. I mean, I would have calmed down, I think, but just her saying that, you've got a good story to get out there, you need to stay.
Yeah, nice. Oh, that's awesome. Julie, thank you so much for joining me this morning.
Great.
Tammy and I will be back again next week. We do have a few questions that are getting stockpiled there, so we will be answering those next week together. And yeah, so if you can join us firstly at the seminar Monday evening at USA, or Tuesday morning for Australia, but then again 9:30 next Friday morning Australia for this Q&A, which is 3:30 p.m. Pacific time USA. We're working in a number of time zones at the moment, so it does get a little bit complex. So yeah, so thanks again, Julie.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me, and hope to see everyone at the seminar.
Yes, and if people want to get in touch with you directly, of course, there's the Facebook link there that I've tagged you with this post, or I will tag you when we're finished. But also, I wonder if you could put, a contact email down there if people want to speak to you directly. If we've got some people that would like to invite you to speak and pursue what you're doing. So that's awesome.
For sure.
Yeah,
Lovely. Thank you.
You're more than welcome. So have a great Friday, Thursday evening, everybody, and we'll talk to you soon.
See ya. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.